the police are so corrupt in this particular city that 2 former cops are suing them because of their use of the N-word, because they would put KKK magazines inside of black police officers' lockers, and this was consistent. 2 former Millersville police officers have now sued the city and police chief Mark Palmer for intimidating them right out of the job. Let's put up a picture of the chief. There he is. City of Millersville. In the 28-page document, Robert Black and former Sergeant Josh Barnes describes routine painstaking detail numerous times when officers and Chief Palmer routinely used the N-word. These comments were made in front of Barnes, who was black, and Robert, who has a biracial son. Robert detailed multiple stories about how his fellow officers bullied him because of this. But things only got worse after the protesters began marching in honor of George Floyd. Robert says the chief would often refer to black protesters as animals and made comments with other city officials where they talked about what they would do if protests ever made it to Millersville. You see, they planned for corruption and violence against black people. At one point, Robert said he had enough and used a fake name in social media to put out a call to action. He described the systemic racism within the department that led back to another prior lawsuit where Chief Palmer was accused of placing a KKK magazine in a black officer's locker. This the damn chief doing it. Put up his picture again. That's the chief. Now, if he's doing things like this, do you think he's the guy who will properly investigate an accusation of abuse against a black citizen by one of his cops? Of course not. He's abusing black cops. The KKK publication is not something you can get at the library. You can't buy it at the 7-Eleven. These publications are like homemade, produced on someone's printing press. Is hate literature, said Black. Robert added that the department also attempting to conceal the fact that Assistant Chief Destin Carter was under investigation by the Tennessee Bureau of Investigations for domestic violence. Once the city determined that Robert was responsible for the social media post, they fired him. Now he's calling for action. He's talking about what's happening: systemic racism, violation of civil rights. Well, they fired him. Barnes stayed for 2 months after, but left the department when the alleged intimidation became too much to handle. Let's put up a picture of the assistant chief there. That's Dustin Carr. The case is not the first time Palmer and the city have faced a lawsuit from within their ranks. In 2015, 2 men had previously been Millersville only black officers sued Palmer and the city, alleging racial discrimination. In their lawsuit, which was dismissed with prejudice in 2016, both men claimed the chief told each of them, "I don't like N-words." One of the former officers, Anthony Hayes, claimed Palmer took him on an unexplained visit to a former KKK leader's home, where Hayes was subjected to an extended conversation in the presence of KKK memorabilia. Hayes and the other former officer, Brian McCarthiness, claimed to have been forced out of their post after they accused the Department of Racism. Once again, put up the picture of the chief. First of all, he has access to KKK magazines. Those are hard to find, by the way. Only a few printing press exist that will print them. He's putting them in black people lockers, accusations that he calls black cops the N-word, says he does not like the N-words, and then drives an officer to a KKK leader's house. I guess that's the initiation. Adrian?
Well, I think what we're seeing here is the reflection of how a lot of police departments, unfortunately, are truly infiltrated, if not in association with unfortunate hate groups or racist outlets. And the things that these individuals have had to endure, it's wrong. And when people talk about Blue Lives Matter, we see that there is a line there, and that line is the color line, and that also stops. And and also knowing that these individuals have been subjected to lawsuits, this really seems to speak to me that the Department of Justice needs to intervene and truly weed out this particular law enforcement unit, because they can't protect their citizens. They can't protect anyone, especially when they're out here essentially uplifting and participating in hate groups.
Yeah, and listen, if they don't do something, Adrian, we're going to be reporting on the tragedy right out of that city. Right now, you have whistleblowers. The whistleblowers are either black or they are deeply connected to black culture. One has a biracial son, but it's white. The issue is, right now, it's in front of you. This city has a decision to make. City council, the mayor, the police chief has to resign. But we know this, they will not do so voluntarily. All right, so you all have to get to cracking real fast.